Hello, boys and girls. Today we'll be discussing variables. The objective for today is that the student will be able to identify an independent variable in an investigation by identifying what is changing. As you might know, experiments can be a very great way to observe cause and effect relationships. By conducting an experiment, you're basically problem solving and looking for answers. In order to find these answers, however, you must use variables. And in science, a variable is something that can either be changed, controlled, or measured. These variables will have names of their own. Let's discuss them. The first is an independent variable. This is what you change. Remember, there can only be one independent variable. Second is our dependent variable. This is dependent on the independent variable, so it is what you observe or measure. And thirdly, we have a constant or controlled variable. This is what you control, so it'll usually stay the same. Now, let's talk about the independent variable first. What does the word independent mean? Well, someone or something that is independent is on their own. Usually it's only one, correct? Similarly, the definition for an independent variable is what you change. And remember, there can only be one because the word independent means to be on its own. Now, an experiment can only have one independent variable, meaning that you should only change one thing in an experiment so that your results are valid. Valid means accurate and reliable. Now, why should we only have one independent variable? Why should we only change one thing? Well, you won't know what caused the results. Imagine an experiment where everything changes. You couldn't get accurate results because you wouldn't know what caused all the changes in your experiment. Let's look at an example so we can identify an independent variable. Let's see what Ashley is doing. It says Ashley is trying to determine which material, wood, foam, or plastic, will keep an egg from breaking when it's dropped. 1. The egg breaking or not breaking. Or 2. The type of material, wood, foam, or plastic. Which of these two is the independent variable? Ask yourself, what is Ashley changing? Is Ashley changing whether the egg will break or not? Or is Ashley changing the type of material? Let me give you 10 seconds to think of your answer. Ready? Go. 10. 5. 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Did you say that Ashley is changing the type of material? You're right. Ashley is changing that independently from everything else. Therefore, that is the independent variable. Let's try another. Eric is trying to determine which type of gum he can blow the biggest bubble with. Ask yourself, which is the independent variable? 1, the different types of gum, or 2, the size of the bubble? Ask yourself, what am I changing? What is Eric changing? Think of your answer in 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you say that the different types of gum are what Eric is changing? You're right. That is the independent variable because Eric is in control and is changing the type of gum. Next, we'll discuss the dependent variable. A dependent variable has the word dependent in it. let's talk about what that means. The word dependent can mean many things, but I'll give you an example that you might understand. You are dependent on your parents, correct? Therefore, whatever they do affects you. A dependent variable is dependent on the independent variable, meaning whatever the independent variable causes is a dependent variable. Or in other words, what you measure or what you observe is a dependent variable. It's usually the results. Let's look at some examples and discuss the dependent variable. Eric is trying to determine which type of gum he can blow the biggest bubble with. Is 1, the different types of gum, or 2, the size of the bubble, the dependent variable? Ask yourself, what am I observing, or what am I measuring? Am I measuring the different types of gum, or am I measuring the size of the bubble? Go ahead and give me an answer in 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you say that 2, the size of the bubble, is a dependent variable? Nice job, that's a correct answer. The size of the bubble is dependent on the type of gum that Eric uses. Therefore, the size of the bubble is a dependent variable. Let's try this again. Ashley is trying to determine which material, wood, foam, or plastic, will keep an egg from breaking when it's dropped. Ask yourself, which is the dependent variable? 1, the egg breaking or not? Or 2, the type of material, wood, foam, or plastic? Ask yourself, what is Ashley observing? Go ahead and give me an answer in 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Did you say that 1, the egg breaking or not, is the dependent variable? You're right. This is what Ashley is measuring or observing. The egg breaking or not is dependent on the type of material she uses, meaning it is a dependent variable. Finally, we have a constant or controlled variable. Let's talk about the word constant. What does that mean? When something is constant, it means it doesn't change. Therefore, a constant or controlled variable is what stays the same. So let me show you a demonstration, and we'll discuss each of these variables, and we'll point them out. We're going to look at a demonstration, and while you're watching, I want you to think of these questions. Which block is traveling the farthest? Why is it traveling the farthest? Is this investigation fair? Why or why not? And what can we do to make it more fair? So, let's watch the demonstration, and then we'll ask ourselves these questions.
Through science, we've discovered that the force of friction is different with different surfaces. I have a wooden block that's plain and smooth, and the same wooden block, but I've attached a piece of sandpaper, and then another same wooden block, but I've wrapped it in aluminum foil. Now, through science, we've discovered that the friction is different on these different surfaces. Let's check it out. I'm going to slowly raise the ramp. Which block do you think will slide first? Which block do you think will slide last? Friction. Here we go. Now, the trick to make this work is you have to go slowly and steadily. Oh, I see some movement. Wow. The aluminum foil slid first. Which do you think is going to be next? Keep raising the slide. Higher. The plain block went next. You can even see the friction in action here. It's hanging on. It doesn't want to move. The sandpaper goes down. Look at the height of that ramp.
So let's talk about this. Now, it was a pretty fair experiment, but what was the independent variable? What did I change in this experiment? There's only one thing that's changing. Think to yourself, what is it? I'm going to give you 15 seconds to think about what I'm changing and what the independent variable is. Ready and go. 15. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you say that the material is what I'm changing? You're right. The only thing that is changing is the aluminum, the wood, and the sandpaper. Those are the only things that are changing in this experiment. Therefore, I'm changing them. Nice job. Same experiment, different question. What was a dependent variable? If you don't recall, the dependent variable is what I measure or what I observe. What is he measuring or observing in the experiment? Go ahead and tell me in 15. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Did you see that the dependent variable is the distance the blocks traveled? You're right. The distance that the block travels are dependent on the material that the blocks are covered with. Therefore, they are, or it is, the dependent variable. And last but not least, what was the constant variables? What didn't change in this experiment? What stayed the same? Go ahead and tell me in 15, 14, 13, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job. There's plenty of things that did not change in this experiment. The surface of the white sheet did not change. The size of the blocks did not change. The height and the speed at which the ramp was lifted did not change. The person did not change. There was countless constant variables because they stayed constant throughout the full experiment, meaning they did not change throughout the full experiment. Now, going back to independent variables, how many can you have in this experiment? How many did he have in this experiment? Think to yourself, Go ahead and tell me in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job. Only one independent variable was in this experiment. In this example, the independent variable was the material that the blocks were covered in, because that is the only thing that changed in the experiment. So, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.